Hello, and welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. Today's topic is going to be a little rough. I'm talking about masochism, uh, especially masochism from growing up in an abusive household and what that means for me personally. It can mean different things for a lot of different people, uh, but I'll get into that more in just a second. I do want to just throw it out there that I am going through a lot right now. And I wanted to make a video for some distraction and hopefully some adrenaline. Because speaking of masochism, my self harm urges have been through the roof. So I'm hoping that if I just make a video about this stuff, it will help. So, when you look up masochism on Google, it will talk about sexual masochism a bit, getting sexual gratification from humiliation and pain. And that's not exactly the masochism that I'm referring to. So I looked a little bit deeper into it and I found moral masochism, and that is seeking pleasure without being aware of the masochistic sexual satisfaction thus obtained because unconscious feelings of guilt, which that fits with me quite a bit more. That relation between masochism and guilt and shame. And in order to expand on that, I'm just going to go back in time a bit to when I was a kid. And I grew up with a sadistic mother. I grew up with a caregiver who took pleasure in my pain. And in order to survive that environment, I think I was already predisposed with masochistic tendencies through my genetics. But I think what really hammered that into my personality was being in an environment where a caregiver took pleasure in my pain. And as a child, I absorbed that and I took that as a foundational way of thinking for myself of I'm a better person when I'm getting hurt. I deserve to get hurt. And allowing that viewpoint to really penetrate everything about me. So when she humiliated me, I embraced that and I turned that into self-deprecating humor to make her laugh, to make myself laugh, to feel joy in the environment where joy was acceptable. It was not acceptable to make fun of her most of the time. Sometimes I could tell a joke that was good enough about her that would make her giggle, and that was a good day. But most of the time, she took herself very seriously, and so the only thing I could really joke about and not worry about the consequences of it was myself. With the beatings and violent assaults that I experienced during childhood, um, my brain took that and started to take the positives out of it. Like, oh, it provides adrenaline. It provides almost a reset button in your brain where all of a sudden you forget everything. And that can be really relieving when remembering things is really unpleasant and really hard to do. And it also cemented in, I deserve this. Because this wouldn't happen if I didn't deserve it. And how that sort of morphed into my adulthood is I unconsciously seek out pain and discomfort through seeking out triggering content. And I've heard a few survivors validate me in these feelings of unconsciously looking for things that are triggering and activating to feel that hurt and to cry along with that hurt, which can also cause flashbacks to happen, which are horrible and unpleasant. But at the same time, when you believe that you deserve to feel horrible. It makes you feel right in a way, like this is the way life is supposed to be. I'm supposed to be sad. I'm supposed to be in pain. And it's really hard to like verbalize that when you're going through it, especially when your friend is like, "Why are you doing this to yourself?" And it's like, "I don't know. All I know is that it feels right." I know with my angry voice in my head, I've had a very complicated relationship with that angry voice, especially the last 10 years. Because as I started recovery and as I started to get better self esteem and have more self empathy for myself, I started to hate that angry voice who was still throwing insults at me, still trying to get me to hurt myself. And me and that angry voice used to be really tight throughout childhood, where I would agree with everything it said, like, yeah, you're right, I am horrible and I do deserve pain. And as that relationship with that angry voice changed, I felt more and more split in half, where my episodes would get worse and worse of like I'd be good and then all of a sudden I'd be doing really bad, and then I'd be doing it good again and then I'd be doing really bad, with more psychotic episodes, more tantrums that I felt like I could not control in the slightest bit, of self-hatred when I am working very hard to get away from those foundational thinking patterns. And what helped me and the angry voice, I feel like, is understanding where that comes from and offering empathy to the angry voice. Like, you know what? It makes sense that you feel this way. This is what we were taught. It was an environment thing where I was almost brainwashed in a way into thinking that I'm less than human, into thinking that I deserve to be in pain all the time. And the truth is that's not right, but that doesn't change my drive to go back to that almost nostalgic feeling of where it feels right in my soul to be in pain. Because pain can almost be like company when you're alone and you're isolated. It's almost like a friend of like, hey, I know you, I know how this goes. So being without pain, it's almost like being in a brand new place where you don't recognize anything. And you're like, how do I function in this? I've never had to function in this. And it can cause a new sort of discomfort of, I don't know how to function in this. I need pain in order to feel normal. And some things that have helped me replace those masochistic desires and programming is, instead of showing my pain through self-harm or showing my pain through seeking out really triggering content, really triggering situations even, is I draw a lot. I draw blood a lot. I draw sad faces and sad expressions, and that kind of helps me release it in a way. Now, it's not as fast and as gratifying as self-harm can be. I also have unhealthy things that I've done, like smoke cigarettes for a decade in order to stop cutting myself, because the burn on my throat would be like, oh, that feels good, that I deserve that, I need that, multiple times throughout my day just to feel kind of normal. Another thing that has helped with that is talking to people about it and being more open about it, especially with people who can relate, my peer support friends, the other friends in my life, to kind of relieve that feeling of being alone with it, because a lot of survivors of trauma can relate to this and it makes them feel weird, and I totally get that, because it does feel weird. It feels weird to take comfort from pain, but when you've seen too much pain, how else are you going to survive? I also joke continuously about the pain that I've been through. That self deprecating humor has lasted with me all throughout adulthood, and I still utilize that to let that escape, but also not making it too serious, and to laugh when the sadness and the pain is just too much. I don't think I can unwrite that in myself. I don't even think I'd want to unwrite that in myself, because I think that's a really important tool to survive overwhelming circumstances. And then also, my video diaries have helped tremendously with my self empathy and to slowly work towards a life with less pain. Granted, right now I'm not really feeling that, but I have not self harmed. I've been going through so much this year, and I've managed to not slice myself open, which is kind of a big deal for me with how horrible the urges have been. But art has come in handy, writing about my sadness has come in handy, and sharing that vulnerability with people has definitely helped a lot. I want to hear your opinions on masochism and your experiences with it, whether you experience it or not. If you haven't, what's your opinion on it? What's your thoughts on it? If you have, how do you manage it? Have you gotten to a place where you can manage it? You know, just share experiences. It will help everybody else with their struggles, I feel like. Being open about this stuff and just talking about it. So, I hope everybody's having good ones. And if you're not having a good one, I hope things get better for you soon. I really appreciate everyone, my viewers, the Discord peeps. This was actually a suggestion from a Discord peep, and I appreciate you so much. You're truly an inspirational person. Whenever I see posts from you, my heart just goes out, and I'm so glad that I have the honor of knowing you. And that goes for everybody that I talk to in the recovery world. I'm just honored to know you guys and to be able to talk about the hard stuff with you. So I hope we all hang in there and have good ones.